So picture a classic Shakespearean duke for a second. You know the exact vibe I'm talking about.
Oh, for sure. Like super dignified, royal, probably bathed in some dramatic lighting.
Right, exactly. And he's standing there speaking in this soaring, totally flawless iambic pentameter.
Natural.
Now, I want you to hold that image in your head and then just completely shatter it.
Okay, consider it shattered. What are we replacing it with?
Because over this majestic scene, you suddenly hear a peanut gallery of voices mercilessly mocking him, like literally calling him a douchey yuppie from the 80s.
Wait, seriously?
Yes, it's like one of those internet videos, like a riff track style spoof,
Right.
where comedians just talk over a movie to poke fun at it.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, and it actually gets better, because instead of these elegant courtiers gracefully moving across the stage, a group of young men are doing these wild, spastic gyrations in, like, knee-length satin shorts.
Satin shorts in Shakespeare.
Knee-length satin shorts. And why are they doing this? Well, they are desperately trying to impress a group of women who have honestly already gotten bored and wandered off with the, let's say, lesbi satin guys.
I mean, that is an incredibly jarring visual.
Right.
And certainly not the stuffy, pristine image that pops into your head when you think of, your high school English class reading a centuries-old text.
Not even close, but it proves a massive point that we are going to explore today. A 400-year-old play does not have to be some delicate museum piece that's just trapped in amber,
Yeah, it can be loud and messy.
Downright ridiculous, even. So today's deep dive is into William Shakespeare's comedic masterpiece, Twelfth Night, and we have a seriously wild stack of sources to help us pull it apart today.
We really do.
Yeah, we're drawing from a pretty dense academic essay on deception, a color-coded student scene analysis, a video essay comparing two wildly different film adaptations.
Which is fascinating, by the way.
So fascinating. We also have an interview with a university theater director, and yes, of course, that YouTube spoof with the satin shorts.
It's just a fantastic cross-section of material. You get the high-level academic theory sitting right alongside the, practical boots-on-the-ground interpretations from directors and students.
People who are just trying to figure out how to make this text resonate with a live audience today.
Exactly.
And that actually brings us to you listening right now. Because whether you are brushing up on your Shakespeare or you're looking for historical insights into gender dynamics, or, let's be real, you're just trying to understand what genuine love actually is in this chaotic modern world, the mission of this deep dive is for you.
Truly something for everyone.
Right. We are going to explore how this play's core engine, which is the concept of disguise, allows it to be endlessly adapted and remain shockingly relevant to our daily lives. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really grasp how directors and actors bend and mold this play today, you first have to look under the hood. You have to understand the mechanical engine that makes the plot function. And in Twelfth Night, that engine runs purely on disguise and deception.
Purely on deception.
Yeah, I mean, without those themes, the narrative completely stalls.
Because the absolute linchpin of the entire story is a young woman named Viola. According to our academic source, everything really hinges on her initial choice.
Which is a desperate choice, honestly.
Totally desperate. She survives this horrific shipwreck, washes up on the shores of a foreign land called Illyria, and she genuinely believes her twin brother, Sebastian, has drowned.
So she's completely alone.
Completely alone. So she decides her best move for sheer survival is to disguise herself as a young male page named Cesario.
Right.
And this allows her to safely get a job working for the local ruler, Duke Orsino.
And that single, seemingly practical choice to just put on a disguise, it triggers a massive cascade of romantic entanglements and misunderstandings.
Oh, a total cascade.
Because as Cesario, she can move freely and safely through a male-dominated society, but the disguise ends up working a little too well.
It works entirely too well, because she gets sent by Duke Orsino to woo a wealthy countess named Olivia on his behalf.
Right, as the messenger.
But Olivia ends up falling in love with the messenger. She falls for Cesario. Meanwhile, Viola, who is underneath the disguise, is falling in love with Duke Orsino.
Who just thinks she's his male buddy.
Exactly. Plus, the disguise creates literal physical danger. There's this hilarious moment where Viola gets dragged into a duel with a foolish knight named Sir Andrew.
Oh yeah, the duel scene.
And she only escapes because a sea captain named Antonio suddenly jumps in to save her. And he only does that because he mistakes disguised Viola for her twin brother, Sebastian.
It is a masterclass in escalating chaos. But, we shouldn't overlook Olivia's deception either, because it is brilliantly multi-layered. When the play starts, she is put on this heavy mourning guise. She's playing the role of the tragic, impenetrable widow.
Right, weeping for her dead brother.
Exactly, and she vows not to show her face to the world or think of romance for 7 years.
Yep.
It's essentially her way of creating a wall to deflect Duke Orsino's relentless advances.
But the irony there is just so thick. The absolute second she meets Cesario, like supposedly impenetrable mourning disguise, shatters.
Just completely drops the tragic widow act.
Instantly. And aggressively pursues him. It really highlights how love in this play completely transcends traditional gender norms. I mean, Olivia believes she's falling for a man, but she's actually falling for a woman.
Which brings up a really compelling psychological dynamic.
It does. It makes me think about how we operate today. Think about like a modern-day internet avatar or even a catfishing scenario.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. Is it possible that putting on a fake persona, creating this artificial buffer between who you are and the rest of the world, actually forces these characters to connect on a much deeper, more authentic level than if they were just being themselves? Like, if Viola showed up as a shipwrecked woman, Orsino would just treat her with the rigid etiquette of the time. But as a guy, they just talk.
What's fascinating here is that in Shakespeare's world, a disguise isn't just a way to hide from reality. It is actually a highly effective tool for revealing truth.
Revealing truth through a lie.
Exactly. When you remove the societal expectations and that restrictive etiquette attached to Viola's true gender, Orsino and Olivia aren't reacting to a quote-unquote lady.
Right.
They're able to connect with her intellect, her sharp empathy, and her actual soul.
The mask paradoxically lets people see her more clearly.
Precisely. And we see this dynamic mirrored in other characters, too. Take the clown, Festi.
Oh, Festi's great.
He's a professional fool, but he uses his wit, his wordplay, and occasionally literal disguises to pierce through everyone else's illusions.
Because he plays the fool, he gets a free pass.
He is given the license to speak the truth. He's arguably the only character who sees the reality of Illyria from the very beginning. But, and this is crucial, the play's structure demands that you cannot stay in the disguise forever.
Yeah, the tension has to break eventually. The plot really only resolves when the twins, Viola and Sebastian, finally end up in the exact same room.
Forcing the truth out into the open.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate takeaway of the narrative engine. To achieve a truly authentic relationship, you have to eventually unmask yourself.
The disguise can facilitate the initial connection, but you have to step into the light as who you really are to make it real.
Absolutely.
So if disguise is the mechanical engine driving the plot, how do these characters actually feel underneath those masks?
That's the big question.
Right. We have an incredible source for this, actually. It's a student production that vividly visualized this internal psychology using color theory.
Oh, the wardrobe analysis.
Yes. They turned the emotional subtext into literal wardrobes for Act 3, Scene 4.
And the mechanism behind this is brilliant. By assigning specific colors to represent the character's hidden voids and agendas, the directors are subconsciously priming the audience.
Before a word is even spoken.
Right. Before a character even speaks a line, your brain is already processing their psychological state based on the color hitting your optic nerve.
I absolutely love this mood ring approach to theater. Let's start with Viola. She's navigating the world as Cesario, and the students put her in orange.
Orange makes a lot of sense.
They noted that orange combines the raw energy of red with the brightness of yellow. So for Viola, it represents sheer survival instinct. It's the adrenaline and determination she needs to maintain this massive lie every single day, just to stay alive on a foreign shore.
Then you look at Olivia, who is dressed in purple. Yes, purple is historically a dark color representing her intense mourning. But the students also linked it to a newfound rapaciousness.
Rapaciousness.
It signals this fierce, almost aggressive excitement she feels at falling in love with Cesario. She is clawing her way out of that dark emotional void.
And then there's Sir Toby Belch, who they put in green. Green for greed.
Naturally.
He's this alcoholic instigator who constantly manipulates the dim-witted Sir Andrew just to squeeze money out of him to fund his drinking habit.
But the green also points to a massive emotional void in Toby's own life. The students theorized he's self-medicating, really.
Interesting.
He fills a void left by a profound lack of real love or genuine companionship with booze and cruel pranks. It's a highly toxic coping mechanism.
Meanwhile, you have Antonio in red, and red operates on a totally different frequency here.
It does.
It symbolizes courage, fierce loyalty, and this reckless passion to protect Sebastian, even if it means marching straight into dangerous enemy territory.
Which brings us to Sir Andrew.
Yes, Sir Andrew. The students put him in yellow to represent cowardice. He's the guy who's always trying to worm his way out of situations, especially that sword fight with Cesario we mentioned earlier.
Right, the reluctant duelist.
But I actually have to push back on the student analysis a little bit.
Oh, really? How so?
Is Sir Andrew really just a coward? Think about it. He's one of the only characters in the play who doesn't jump to massive conclusions or demand to fight on a whim. Could his quote-unquote cowardice actually just be a form of gentleness? Like maybe he's just a soft guy trapped in a very harsh, aggressive world.
It's a nice thought, but let's be real here. If he is so inherently gentle and pure of heart, why is he choosing to hang out with a raging bully like Sir Toby?
I mean, that's fair.
I think his yellow wardrobe is less about a misunderstood gentleness and more about a complete lack of a moral spine. He enables Toby's cruelty because he's just too weak to stand on his own.
Okay, that is a fair point. His hesitation is probably more about self-preservation than any, moral high ground.
Exactly. Which brings us to the core synthesis of this entire color theory exercise human vulnerability. Every single character in this play has a deep, aching void.
They all do.
And they have an agenda to get their needs met, often at the direct expense of someone else. But what's truly fascinating is how the students turn this lens back on Viola.
Oh, right. Because we always praise her survival instincts, right?
We do. But the students point out that her constant dishonesty, the fact that she lies about her identity day after day to the people closest to her, could actually be viewed as its own form of cowardice.
Wow.
She completely mistrusts the people who actually care for her, just terrified of what will happen if she tells the truth.
Hold on. That is actually incredibly profound. The idea that lying to protect yourself from the people who love you is a form of cowardice.
It hits hard.
It really does. Think about how often we do that in modern relationships. We self-sabotage, or we hide our true feelings, or we put up these emotional wall simply out of a fear of rejection.
Yeah, exactly.
We think we're being practical, like Viola surviving the shipwreck, but we're really just too scared to be vulnerable.
It is a deeply uncomfortable truth. It is much easier to wear the orange survival gear than it is to stand naked in front of someone and say, this is who I am.
So, if we're talking about how internal emotional states can be projected outward through something like a yellow coat or an orange shirt, let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
What happens when a director projects massive societal messages through the entire physical setting of the play? Let's look at how two different directors handled the exact same text to create completely opposite meanings.
Yeah, we're pulling here from a fascinating video essay that analyzes Malvolio's monologue in Act 2, Scene 5.
Just for context, this is the famous scene where Malvolio, who is Olivia's strict, fun-hating steward, is tricked by a forged letter into believing the Countess is in love with him.
It is a highly elaborate, very cruel prank orchestrated by Sir Toby, Fabian, and Sir Andrew.
Now, I want you to imagine you're sitting in the theater. Director Armfield, in his 1996 film adaptation, sets this scene on a literal, sun-drenched beach.
Very upbeat.
He is intentionally mirroring those breezy 1960s beach party films. His goal was to make Shakespeare feel accessible, bright, and fun for a younger audience.
And he manipulates the physical space to dictate how the audience feels about the cruelty of the prank. Armfield actually uses an electronic element, a mechanical lift, to physically elevate Sir Toby, Fabian, and Sir Andrew above Malvolio.
It's such a smart spatial trick. By placing them literally above the action, it visually signals to the audience that they are above the rules.
Right.
Their cruel jesting is framed as just harmless, youthful exuberance, and the actor playing Malvolio is key here. Even though his arms are crossed defensively when he reads the fake love letter, he manages to produce this genuine, infectious smile.
Which changes everything.
It does. As an audience member, you relax, you feel totally comfortable laughing along with the pranksters because Malvolio seems secretly thrilled.
Now clear that sunny image from your mind.
Consider it cleared.
Imagine you were sitting in a theater in the 1980s for director Kafno's version. The atmosphere is starkly grim, highly realistic. Kafno's goal was completely different. He wanted to condemn the misogyny and the brutal violence against the mentally ill that were actually socially acceptable back in Shakespeare's time.
It's a visceral 180-degree turn. Kafno puts Malvolio in this dark, oppressive, prison-like cell.
Yeah, completely different space.
The pranksters aren't on a fun mechanical lift having a laugh. They're creeping around in the shadows, hiding right behind him. It creates this suffocating, claustrophobic tension.
And Kaphnos Malvolio doesn't smile.
No, he sticks his nose up, protrudes his chest aggressively, and physically cannot produce a genuine smile. It makes you, sitting in the audience, squirm in your seat.
It really does.
It proves that this jesting is absolutely not a harmless prank. It's psychological torture.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're looking at the exact same words written on a piece of paper 400 years ago. Yet one director gives us a sunny teen beach comedy where we laugh, and the other gives us a dark psychological commentary on cruelty where we cringe.
It's wild.
Does this mean the text is just a blank playground for whatever the director wants to say, or is one of them getting closer to the real Shakespeare?
This raises an important question about the overwhelming power of nonverbal communication. The text isn't a blank playground. I mean, the words have concrete meaning. But Shakespeare's framework is highly malleable.
Right. It can bend.
Both of these directors are intentionally overemphasizing physical actions to clarify the emotional stakes for a modern audience. Because let's face it, the audience can't just pause the play and reread the dense Elizabethan language to figure out how they should feel.
The directors have to forcefully show us what the words mean through the setting, the spatial dynamics, and the actors' bodies.
Exactly. And their end goals dictate those choices. Armfield is saying, come on in, young people. Shakespeare's a joyous romp.
While Kaphano is challenging us.
Right. He's saying, wait, look at our history.
Yeah.
Look at the cruelties of the past, and let's use this 400-year-old text to critically examine how we treat vulnerable people today.
It's brilliant.
The absolute genius of Twelfth Night is that its foundational themes are robust enough to support both of those massive directorial swings without breaking.
So if a director can manipulate a setting to expose historical cruelty, what happens when they use a setting to expose modern superficiality?
Ah, yes.
That brings us to our final source, an interview with Professor Paul Mitri. He's a university director who recently reimagined Illyria entirely, setting his production, which actually opened on January 27th, inside a 1940s-style compositor ballroom.
The aesthetic choice is brilliant. A compositor ballroom basically means it's a mashup of different highly stylized aesthetics.
Right.
He heavily cites the overwhelming glitz of 1940s MGM musicals and the intense performative world of the movie Strictly Ballroom as his main influences.
So in Mitri's version, Illyria isn't a beach or a prison. It's this glamorous, fiercely etiquette-driven world. Everyone is sharply dressed, the music is constantly swelling, but there's a tragic catch.
What's the catch?
Everyone is in love with the idea of love, but no one is actually feeling it. It's all just highly choreographed, surface-level glitz.
Which perfectly sets the stage for Viola's arrival. When she shipwrecks into this intensely fake world, Mitri compares it to Dorothy dropping into the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's such a good comparison.
Viola is the catalyst. She completely disrupts their perfectly choreographed lives and shows Duke Orsino and Countess Olivia what messy, uncontrollable, real passion actually looks like.
It really peaks with Viola's famous Willow Cabin speech. She's dressed as a boy, telling Olivia exactly what she would do if she were the one desperately in love with her.
Right, building a cabin at her gate?
Yes, she says she would build a cabin at her gate and call upon her soul. The raw, unfiltered emotion of it just completely shatters Olivia's poised exterior. For the first time in her life, Olivia feels something real.
And Mitri uses ballroom dancing, specifically the tango, as a physical metaphor for this whole dynamic.
It fits so well.
The tango is an incredibly apt metaphor for the play itself. It requires brilliant, rigid technique and incredibly strict etiquette on the surface. But without the smoldering passion underneath the technique, it's just empty footwork.
And Mitri drops this wild statistic in the interview to back up this idea.
The vocabulary one.
Yeah. He notes that Shakespeare had a working vocabulary of roughly 30,000 words. Compare that to the average modern vocabulary, which sits somewhere around 8,000 words.
That's a huge gap.
Huge. Mitri argues that having that massive, expansive array of words actually allows you to experience the true depth of human emotion.
It makes sense.
So what does this all mean? I have to ask you, if we literally have tens of thousands of fewer words to describe love today than they did 4 centuries ago, does that mean our modern experience of love is actually shallower? Are we just doing the technical steps of the dance without actually feeling the music?
It's a profound question, and it speaks to the psychological concept of linguistic determinism.
Linguistic determinism.
Yeah, the idea is that the boundaries of our language are the boundaries of our world. If your vocabulary only has the word sad, you can only feel sad. But if you have words like melancholic, despondent, bereft, your emotional bandwidth physically expands. You have the tools to process deeper feelings. So yes, Mitri is arguing that a shallower vocabulary might literally constrain our ability to feel the soaring heights of Shakespearean passion.
We're basically trapped by our own lack of words.
We are. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that ballroom dancing metaphor combined with the vocabulary gap ties perfectly back to the most famous line in the entire play.
Oh, the opening line.
Yes, the opening line, "If music be the food of love, play on."
Ah, of course.
Duke Orsino says that right at the beginning, when he is drowning in the idea of love, wallowing in his own performative melancholy, Mitri's interpretation brilliantly captures the play's ultimate tension.
The tension between the fake and the real.
Yes, it is the eternal battle between the surface-level etiquette, the disguises we all wear to smoothly function in polite society, and the messy, undeniable, often inarticulate passion raging underneath.
And Mitri does something really interesting with the character of Feste, the clown, to drive this home. Remember, Feste is the one who sees through the illusions, but Mitri plays him as a highly androgynous figure.
Yes, serving as a living, breathing cautionary tale for Viola.
Wow, a cautionary tale.
In this specific production, Feste represents what Viola might become if she gets permanently trapped in the superficial glitz of Illyria. If she stays in her male disguise, forever wearing a mask and just going through the motions of the ballroom dance, she'll lose herself.
She'll become part of the scenery.
Exactly. She will never step back into her true identity.
It's a stark warning, and it really brings everything back to you, the listener, because whether you are prepping for a high-stakes meeting, trying to navigate the confusing early stages of a new romance, or you're just sitting on your couch trying to figure out who you are in a very noisy world, Twelfth Night is a 400-year-old reminder to look in the mirror and examine the disguises you wear.
We all wear them. It's part of the human condition. But the challenge is to honestly ask yourself if the masks you put on for society are actually protecting you, or if they're just keeping you isolated, preventing you from experiencing genuine connection and real love.
We've spent this whole deep dive analyzing how these fictional characters deceive each other, and frankly, how they deceive themselves. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought about us.
About the audience.
About the audience. We are the only ones in the theater who see the whole board. We know who is wearing a mask and who is being fooled. When we sit in the dark and watch a play completely filled with lies, manipulations, and deception, are we sitting there judging these characters for their flaws?
Or are we doing something else?
Right. Or are we secretly relieved? Are we relieved to see our own daily deceptions, the polite professional masks we wear for our bosses, the brave faces we put on for our families, the white lies we tell our partners just to keep the piece played out safely on a stage where nobody actually gets hurt?
It's a really good point.
It makes you wonder if we're just incredibly glad that it's those guys in the ridiculous satin shorts up there making a mess of things, and not us.
It is always much safer and far more comfortable to watch the messy unmasking from the safety of the dark audience than to do it in the bright light of your own life.
It really is. The stage is a safe place for our darkest truths.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Twelfth Night. Keep questioning the text, keep peeling back those layers of meaning, and maybe, just maybe, take a hard look at the masks hanging in your own closet. Until next time.